It was only really 200 years ago, and you probably heard this all before about AI, but 200 years ago, the Industrial Revolution. And we first started being augmented with machines. You've got exponentials on exponentials, AI plus quantum, genomics plus quantum, blockchain plus AI. They're building on each other. Things are happening faster.
Piers Linney is a serial entrepreneur, investor, podcaster, and former dragon on BBC TV's Dragon's Den. He's also the co-founder of Implement AI, helping SMEs navigate the fast-evolving world of artificial intelligence, and he's been named one of the UK's top 100 most influential Black Britons.
We're now in what we call the AI-assisted era, an era where you should all be individually and in your businesses augmented by this technology. And if you're not already, and I really mean this, personally, there's nothing I do cognitively where I don't use AI at some point. If you're not doing it already, you should be.
Welcome to Screw It, Just Do It, the show for those who decided to screw it and just did it. This is the podcast that brings you face to face with the entrepreneurs and business rebels who threw caution to the wind and built something extraordinary.
Now, I can do a 1 hour keynote just on this one slide by going through it and what it all means going through time. What you've got to think about, though, is that that little zigzag there breaks the line, because that line there goes past Alex, through that wall over there, and out into the car park, North Car Park 6. Because we've spent 200,000 years where not much has changed, to be quite frank. And it was only really 200 years ago, and you've probably heard this all before about AI, but 200 years ago, the Industrial Revolution. And we first started being augmented with machines rather than our own bare hands and simple levers and animals. So you saw the steam engine is a great example of that. But being a northern lad who grew up in a mill town, I like to think about power looms. So power looms took 150 years before they became ubiquitous, or spinning jennies. Choose your technology. And then we got the second industrial revolution. And that was really more about electrification, the railways, consumer technology kind of kicked in, and the world began to change. And you saw things like railways. Electrification is a great example, where you saw railways appear, but electrification, whole cities, within, say, 50 years. So you've gone from 150 years to kind of 50 years. Now you can keep going through time. We saw lots more tools come about, electric tools, white goods, washing machines, consumerization, economies grew, GDP grew, populations grew. And then what we all know and probably love is the third industrial revolution, the one really that got me into sort of business and technology. And that was platforms like the internet, telecommunications. And a business that I was in, actually, the tail end of that business opportunity with mobile phones, for example. So mobiles went from nobody had one, or they were the size of a tumble dryer, to everybody had 1.2. Don't ask me how that works. Everyone had 1.2 phones. And that took about 20 years. 150, 50, 20. Then you start to get into the internet age, where you start to see e-commerce, social media, these platforms begin to grow. And they grew like Facebook, probably 5, 6 years. So 150, 50, 20, 5. Then you have things like TikTok, ChatGPT, getting to 100 million users in several months. Now, think of that curve, it's steepening. Things are happening faster. And in AI is its own exponential. And in some ways, we often talk about implementing AI, you've got exponentials on exponentials, AI plus quantum, genomics plus quantum, blockchain plus AI. They're building on each other. Things are happening faster. And I hate to mention COVID, especially in an events company, but think of COVID, right? So you heard someone's got a cough in Wuhan. Don't worry, I will get into marketing at some point. Someone's got a cough in Wuhan. And you think, well, who cares? Where's Wuhan? And 6 months later, you can't leave your house by law. That's exponential change. It starts slowly. And it's happening now. You just can't quite feel it yet, but it's going to take off. So we're now in what we call the AI-assisted era, an era where you should all be individually and in your businesses augmented by this technology. And if you're not already, and I really mean this, personally, there's nothing I do cognitively where I don't use AI at some point. If you're not doing it already, You should be. And I'm not just standing up here trying to flog AI. I partly am, but actually I really believe this, and I really, really mean it, that it matters and you should be using it. And then we're going to go into a world which I was having a conversation with a lady at the back there about a human first world becoming an AI sort of first world, cognitive labor, and eventually physical labor, robots. So there's going to come a time very soon where this technology, it's not quite there yet, it's better than us, it's inevitable this, than everything, better, faster, cheaper, safer, at all cognitive tasks. Within one political administration, within one business planning cycle of 3 to 5 years, we're going to kind of get there.
If this conversation resonated with you, don't just sit there, act on it. Make sure you follow or subscribe for more game-changing conversations, and remember, the only thing standing between you and your business breakthrough is the decision to screw it and just do it.